Hello, malt mates. Welcome to the Whiskey Bothy. Welcome to review number 1101. Extras. Extra content, extra opinion, extra information, extra stuff. Now, where's my stuff? Here it is. Got some stuff for you. This has been very fashionable amongst whiskey fans and aficionados. And it's called Parafilm Laboratory Film, and this is M standard. Right. Medium. It's basically a sort of robust plastic film adhesed to a paper backing, and it's been used for quite a long time now by whiskey fans who are keeping bottles and want to seal the seal to such an extent that they think that they won't have any evaporational losses, which will reduce the neck fill in the bottle and thus reduce the desirability in the collectible market. However, at this moment in time, the collectible market has gone all to pieces because it got overhyped and overinflated, and the distilleries were coming out with rare and exclusive and boutique and bespoke with bottles with non-fungible tokens. You remember non-fungible tokens? Very fashionable for a short period of time, particularly amongst the gullible and stupid. I did warn about them in this channel, but it's not everybody that listens to me, because to be honest, although people might enjoy a Ralphie review, they do think that I am in fact a bit of an opinionated roaster. And by the way, yes I am. Guilty, and I don't care. So what happens with parafilm? Why do I not use it? So let's get a bottle that I've got no intention of drinking. I'm just going to use this as a model here. And what happens, and I've got my scissors, right? So this is basically what happens. Now I'm going to have to cut the strip off that, because that's basically, that started to fall to bits a bit. Because, hey, this is what happens. And what they do is they take the film off the backing. You've got this semi-translucent film. You hold it on the bottle, and then you tug it, and it stretches the plastic, and then you wind it repeatedly and tightly round the bottle. This is what you do. And that's the result. But there's a problem, malt mates. And the problem is that parafilm is made of plastic, and it's also, as part of the, it's got an adhesive property. It's self-adhesive, so it's soft, biodegradable plastic, and it does degrade. If you use it, go and check your bottles now, and you will see that after a while it reduces to a congealed hard gum. That's the consistency that it is. And it means that when you go to remove it from your bottle, you can no longer get the end, which you could do to start with, and unpeel it. It's all kind of gummed up, and therefore you've got to get your scissors, and then you've got to try and cut it off and prise it off. And even as you do so, it starts to fall to pieces. And then it falls into little bits, and then it gets kind of flaky and gummy, and heaven help you when you take these bottles to auction. When you take a bottle to auction and it's got parafilm round it, you will be asked to remove it. Any auction house that accepts bottles for auction that still have parafilm round them are taking a considerable risk. And the auction houses are struggling at the moment because sales of auctionable whiskey are right down, way down. Let's put that there for the moment. So they've got to be very careful what they sell. They don't want to get a reputation of selling fakes. And one of the ways historically that people faked a whisky was they would drink the contents and then refill the bottle back up with something else and then reseal it. And the thing is, because the original seal, even if you gently removed it, right, it wouldn't go back on just right. People might notice it, and it might discourage people from bidding. And therefore, to wrap it with parafilm was a very good way of disguising the fact that the seal had been interfered with. This is another reason why auction houses are really taking a big risk if they accept bottles for auction that have parafilm around them. Of course, it goes without saying that private whisky bottle sales, and they do occur, you're taking a big chance. You really know exactly who, need to know exactly who you're buying from before you even buy anything. The aftermarket for fakes is as strong as it's ever been. It's just not fashionable to talk about it at the moment, but it's still there. Absolutely. And one reason it's still there is because many people have been buying whisky to never open and never taste and then never realise that they bought a faked bottle. The parafilm disguises the fact that the seal has been tampered with. And you don't even have to use their same original seal. I've known people that have bought a bottle at auction, it was the original seal, and the first sign that they knew they'd bought a fake was when they removed the seal and the cork inside was from a different brand and it had the different brand name on it. That happens. So I'm going to unpeel this. I bought some many years ago and I did my own experiments. I didn't like it. I found that trying to undo it once you'd put it on and it had congealed up just made it awkward. And then I noticed that when I was unpeeling parafilm that had been on bottles for a while, I could smell plastic. I could smell the odour of the plastic. And there's absolutely no reason why that wouldn't be tainting the whisky inside the bottle. And as for it stopping evaporational losses out the bottle, that has not been entirely successful, because it's not so much how cool you store your whisky at, it's the temperature and barometric pressure fluctuations that happen in the bottle, which are exactly the same as happens in a whisky cask. Whisky breathes in a cask, whisky breathes in a bottle, except much slower, much slower. The slower, the better. If you really want to seal your whisky as effectively as possible, the best thing is to dip it in beeswax. Pure beeswax. Beeswax is fantastically neutral. However, a word of warning. When you try to remove the beeswax before you put your bottle into auction, you're taking a risk, because you may well damage the top, because what you're going to do, melt it off? Probably, arguably, that's the best way of doing it. But it will certainly, in my opinion, give you the best seal going. But that doesn't account for the increase in pressure inside the bottle pushing out. And it will find its way out. And for the air that's pushed out, it's going to draw back in again. Very slowly, very gradually, very small amount. But you will get losses. Absolutely. It's inevitable. If your atmosphere has got a relatively high humidity and is not too dry, the air that is drawn in will have a small amount of moisture in it, which will help keep the cork sweet. Finally, do your own experiments. I put some parafilm in a jar and I put it in a cupboard. And when I smelled it after 3 years, I could smell the plastic. When I've smelled it after 5 years, it's practically odourless. But after 5 years, the plastic is literally falling off the backing, which means that it's already degrading. Because when it's new, it's properly stuck and needs to be actively peeled. So there you have it, malt mates. I hope you find this interesting. The reason I'm talking about parafilm again, and it's been a few years since I have, is simply because one of my Patreon subscribers has been asking about it. And because of my additional content for Patreon subscribers, my extra video and my live streams, I've not really had space to actually proactively talk about this, but it's ideal for an extras. So here it is. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found this interesting. And if you have, make sure you're subscribed, because you need to be subscribed to get the updates. Just saying.